This CCTV footage captured on Friday, 24 January 2020 at around 9 p.m. on Oiva Street in Windhoek's Rhino Park shows a husband and wife possibly disposing of the body of a 9-year-old girl, Natalie Akundaishe Chipomho. In the video are Zimbabwean nationals, 38-year-old Edward Nkata dragging the wheelie bin along the street and his 38-year-old wife, Nkata, with the couple's newborn daughter strapped to her back. The Namibian police claims that after dragging the body in the bin, the couple dumped the body in a municipal skip and set it alight in an attempt to evade prosecution. The charred body of young Natalie, who was born in Harare in 2010, was discovered the following morning by a retired teacher who was walking past the skip. Police inquiries into the shocking discovery led investigators to a townhouse complex called Jatti's Park on Rhino Street, not too far from where the body was found. In the two-bedroom townhouse lived Natalie and her mother, Rachel Kureva, as well as the Nkatas and their 3 children made up of 2 sons ages 8 and 11 and a baby girl. The 39-year-old Rachel, also a Zimbabwean, had a temporary residence permit in Namibia and was employed as a registered nurse at a Windhoek hospital. When the police knocked on apartment number 39 on Sunday 26 January 2020, they found Rachel home alone as the Nkatas had packed their belongings and were attempting to flee the country with their 3 children to Zimbabwe. Rachel was immediately arrested in connection with the death, and the police immediately set up roadblocks along all possible routes to Zimbabwe. Later that afternoon, at the turnoff to Okakarara on the B1 road, the Nkatas were arrested after they were found in a taxi with their children. Caroline was immediately transported along with her children back to Windhoek to answer for her alleged crimes, while Edward was transported in a separate police car. However, about 10 kilometers outside of Chivarongo, the driver lost control over the police car transporting Edward, leaving all 3 occupants in the bakkie injured after it overturned. Edward was immediately rushed to a Windhoek hospital in a serious condition. In the meantime, Rachel and Caroline appeared at the Windhoek Magistrates Court without Edward on 29 January 2020 in connection with the murder. During that appearance, Caroline, who was employed as a teacher at a Windhoek private school up until her arrest, told the court that she intends to enter a guilty plea on charges of murder read with the provision of the Domestic Violence Act, as well as defeating the cause of justice and the violation of a dead body. Caroline also told the court that her husband had beaten Natalie at their flat in her presence, and after the girl died, her husband forced her to accompany him to dump the body and later went back to set it alight with paraffin. She told the presiding officer that while she did not partake in the assault, she is guilty to an extent. However, a year later in May 2021, in spite of her confession in court, Caroline would go on to change her mind and pleaded not guilty to all the charges along with her husband Edward and Natalie's mother Rachel. In January 2022, after 2 years in police custody, the prosecutor general decided not to prosecute Rachel in connection with the death of her daughter. And with that, Rachel was a free woman. The Nkatas, on the other hand, are facing 8 charges, namely 1 count of murder, 2 counts of attempted murder, a charge of defeating or obstructing the course of justice, 2 counts of fraud, and charges of forgery and contravening the Immigration Control Act. The attempted murder charges emanate from claims that in the week that Natalie died, Edward had also assaulted his 11-year-old son by repeatedly hitting him with a belt, while Natalie was beaten with a broomstick. It has also since emerged that neighbors alerted social services about the abuse in 2019 already, but that no action was taken to protect the children. In the fraud charges the couple is facing, it is alleged that Edward and Caroline pretended to 2 schools in Windhoek that they were Natalie's biological parents. This reportedly enabled them to enroll Natalie at the school where Caroline was working as a teacher without having to pay school fees. Caroline allegedly also enrolled Natalie at another school in the city by using a forged progress report from the school where she was teaching. For the charges related to the Immigration Control Act, the state claims that a Namibian employment permit issued to Caroline allowed her to take up a teaching post at a private school in Windhoek from mid-June 2017 to mid-June 2019. On the basis of that permit, Edward was allowed to accompany his wife and also live in Namibia. The state is charging that the couple overstayed in Namibia after the period stipulated in the employment permit had come to an end in June 2019. Caroline has informed the court in a pre-trial document that she will be denying guilt on all charges. She also plans to deny that she made any oral admission or confession to a police officer after she had been arrested. Edward has also indicated that he will also be pleading not guilty to all the charges except for the count of contravening the Immigration Control Act, on which he will admit guilt. The couple is being kept in custody in the meantime, with their trial expected to start on 17 January 2023 at the Windhoek High Court.